Hey everybody, welcome into another Yins Are Crazy special. It is the Ken Wregget and Friends show, of course brought to you by 31 Sports Bar and Grill, our favorite place to chill and grill and drink some beers. The weather is warming up, so get your tushies into that Sports Bar and Grill in Bridgeville. You might even get a chance to meet our guy, Ken Wregget. Ken, how are you today, man?
I'm doing well, Mike. Thank you for asking. Yeah, we're enjoying things right now. The weather's starting to turn around a little bit. We have our deck opening up, and it's going to be open Thursday, Friday, and Saturday this weekend at 3:00. Weather permitting, we have heaters if we got to put them on. We will in the spring here, so that's pretty much normal. We're also open out there Tuesday and Sunday at noon, and we have live music every Friday and Saturday at 31 Sports Bar and Grill, and we're putting a big emphasis on the food and especially the burgers this week. So please stop by, say hi to all of us or any of us, and we'd love to see you.
You can't go wrong. I mean, I think everybody in Pittsburgh has been waiting to hear the words, the deck is open since November at this point. So that certainly will appeal to anybody who is interested in having a burger outside, maybe in 60-degree weather. So like I said, get down to 31 Sports Bar and Grill. Check that out this week. And I tell you what, we've also got a real treat for you guys today. Another reason to head down to 31 Sports Bar and Grill is because March Madness starts this week and this weekend. You can watch the games at 31 Sports Bar and Grill. In this episode, we have a March Madness expert, if you will. He's played in it a few times, and he's also now covering it for 93.7 The Fan and Pitt basketball. It's Julius Page, a really good dude, Ken.
Yeah, Julius, which came in one of my favorites coming back into Pittsburgh here and getting to know him since I retired himself as well, and good friends to him and his family. Had a great opportunity over the past couple of years watching his daughter play, and thanks, Jim. And his daughter is amazing, and it's off to do good things as well. So should be a good time.
Shout out to Jim. It shows that Ken Wregget is multi-talented. He can help run a bar and do a show at the same time. That is impressive. We talked about Perry Page a little bit, so we'll get to that. Chartiers Valley standout. His daughter, she's going to go on a full scholarship to Columbia. Super, super impressive. We also talk a little bit basketball, of course. Jeff Capel, their struggles recently. And we talk about who he has in his bracket. So I have to ask you, do you fill out a bracket?
I do. I do. And I ask for some advice along the way. And I just want to throw this out there. One year, it was a few years ago, probably 10 or more, that I did a college football pool for the month, and I came in second. Just want to throw that out there.
All right, you're going to have people banging down your door saying, give me some advice. Give me some
advice.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. From all the people that I've had to listen to say hockey-wise offsides, when it's actually offside, I will talk basketball all you want.
I love it. And I think the real source of information you're going to want to go to help fill you out your bracket, if you have not yet, is Julius Page, former Big East Tournament Player of the Year. We've got him right now on the Ken Wregget and Friends show, brought to you by yinzercrazy.com and 31 Sports Bar and Grill. And our guest today, over here on the Ken Wregget and Friends show, brought to you by yinzercrazy.com. He might be the best to ever dunk a basketball in the city of Pittsburgh. And I know he's laughing right now, but I'm telling you, Jerome Lane, look out, man. This guy started for the Panthers, of course, in their glory days, the early 2000s. He's a Big East champ, a Big East tournament MVP, none other than Julius Page. Julius, what's happening, man?
Not much, Mike. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us.
I don't know. Just to be mentioned with Jerome, I'll take it. Just to be mentioned.
You're the Vince Carter of Pittsburgh, man. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but that's how I feel. I mean, growing up, I was probably, 18 watching you hoop. I'm not trying to make you feel old. But
it's all good.
It was around the same time. Anyway, Julius, obviously everybody's aware what this week is. We are now at the start of March Madness, which is less exciting in this city a little bit because the Panthers aren't in it, but still exciting overall. Do you still kind of feel like a kid on Christmas morning a little bit every time those brackets are unveiled?
Absolutely. Ever since I've had a child, my daughter, who's a senior at Chartiers Valley, plays basketball. Ever since she fell in love with the game, I used to pull her out of school just to go to like the local restaurant and watch the games with her and just have a good time, watching it on every screen. So, I grew up watching this. So it's always going to be an exciting time for me, even though my guys are not in it. I would be a lie if I didn't say that I care as much. It's different when you have a horse in a race. And now that the Panthers are not playing, I can honestly say I don't care as much as I usually would.
Well, before we get into some hoops talk in Pittsburgh and the national scene, you brought up your daughter, man. I was doing a little research before jumping on with you, and I probably should have already known the name Perry Page because, man, she can hoop. She's a senior at Chartiers Valley, like you said, takes after her dad, maybe her mom too, and she's going on a full scholarship to where is it, Columbia next season? Man, you got to be so proud.
I'm super proud. She's a really good student. She's always got straight A's. She works very hard. I didn't force her to play basketball. It was something that she just wanted to do. And, her career has exceeded my expectations. I'm constantly on her as her dad and a former basketball player. She feels like she can never satisfy me. But, seeing her come into her own, especially this year, I'm nothing short of very proud of the player that she's become and the person that she's become.
That's fantastic. You guys ever take the basketball outside and play a little one-on-one? Is she crossing you up these days and dunking on you, I guess, at this point?
We stopped playing one-on-one because we used to get into it really bad and it would never end well because she's super competitive. And for some reason, she doesn't understand that I'm a grown man who is very skilled at basketball because of the time that I put in. So it's going to be really hard for you to still be a grown man who's bigger than you. But she's not really trying to buy that. So we kind of avoid playing those. But this summer, being that she's getting ready for college, she doesn't have a choice but to put up with it now.
Yeah, maybe she'll get you when you're in your 50s or something. All right, man, let's talk a little bit about your Pitt career. Obviously, I mentioned how decorated it was. You come to Pitt at a time where they weren't really this nationally recognized program under Ben Howland. He starts to really turn this around. You're a guy from Buffalo, New York, initially. Talk about that recruiting process and what made you want to come to Pitt?
Well, I always wanted to play for a Big East school. I didn't really care which one in particular. I just grew up in the Northeast, and we got a heavy dose of Big East basketball. So I grew up liking, Villanova, Georgetown, Syracuse. Those teams is like home to me. So obviously, Villanova was actually my first choice. I was a Kerry Kittles fan of Ray Allen. I mean, even UConn. Come on, AI. Think of the players that played in the Big East back in those days. It was hard to not just love the conference. And I've always had connections with Pittsburgh because my stepfather had friends here. So we would come here and we played at the Canard up on the hill and stuff like that when I was even a kid. So I was kind of familiar with Pittsburgh already. And just to add icing to the cake, Curtis Aiken, who went to Pitt in the 80s, knows my father. He came up in Buffalo under my father. So I already had this connection to a guy who went here. It's only 3 hours from Buffalo. It's in the Big East. It was just kind of like just too much of a perfect story for me to turn down the opportunity to play here.
You said two words, man, that I think about a lot, especially in my younger years growing up watching Pitt hoops. And you said the words Big East. And man, you're probably just like everybody else, you even more so because you played in it. I'm sure you miss the old Big East, man. You said it. Pitt going, to play in the MSG, right, against UConn and the likes of Georgetown and Q's and Nova, man. I think there's an argument to be made that their transition to the ACC has hurt their recruiting a little bit. Do you think that's a fair thing to say?
Absolutely, because when you talk about the pick of the litter, Duke and North Carolina pretty much dominate and has dominated the ACC in that regard. Yeah. So when you look at Pitt, you're not really gonna have any player that wants to play in the ACC, for example, is gonna, if he's that good, is gonna choose one of the blue bloods to go to. Why wouldn't you? which means that we're not really getting those guys. And then we still got to compete with Syracuse, which we've been competing with them. We're getting recruits. So I think the biggest difference is in the Big East. I don't think we really had a dominant, early on, maybe Georgetown had an edge, maybe UConn had an edge, but I don't really, Notre Dame stayed good, like everybody pretty much had their flavor and was able to compete. So I didn't really see an advantage when it came to schools for the most part.
Yeah, and Pitt has never really been a one and done school recently, which says a lot. I mean, you guys really established that culture, to be honest. You, Brandon Knight, guys like Chevy, who were there for the duration of your college career. Now, obviously, you have guys, go to Duke and UNC who are one and dones and aren't necessarily doing the same in Pitt. With that said, obviously, the program has struggled a bit lately. I mean, since 2016, they haven't made the tournament. They're now under the leadership, of course, of Jeff Capel, who's coming off a rough season. I want to know personally, have you talked to Coach Capel? Do you have any relationship still with him or the program?
I spoke with Coach Capel a few times because I worked some of the TV games for ACC Network. We don't have a relationship. I can't, speak like we, have dinner together and have these conversations. Sure. But, even regardless to what Coach Capel was doing and how people view the team, I think it's a negative thing to keep the coaching process moving in a direction to where it's like a revolving door. Mm-hmm. We don't want a guy in here every 4 years, and every 4 years we get a different guy and a different guy and a different guy. I personally believe it's better to just stick with a guy. I understand that 4 year is where people want to see changes happen. But I realistically understand what he inherited was nothing short of a dumpster fire. Okay. And he has some misfortune, some things that happened that was out of his control, like COVID taking place and players transferring, which we would like to think that that's a reflection of the coach, but it's not. It's a reflection of the players doing what's in their best interest, more so today than any other time. So I think we have to be patient with Coach Capel, just because I think, his resume suggests that he deserves it. And I just hate to keep having this turnover going on.
No, I hear that. I mean, obviously Pitt was most successful when they had that longevity with Ben Howland and then Jamie Dixon. And man, this city is tough on whoever that coach could be.
Spoiled. Yeah, we got spoiled. Well, Coach Dixon was making it to the tournament. He was competitive, but he wasn't having the same success that he was typically having, in the years prior. And we started putting the pressure on him. Let's call it what it is. And he felt that it was greener pastures elsewhere, and now we're stuck here. So we should have appreciated the guy. And now that we didn't, we should be patient and not try to force the next guy out the way that we've been doing it. So, I understand those rumblings and that pressure that the fans and the administration have put on the guy. Very familiar with it.
Well, we could reincarnate John Wooden and have him coach the Panthers. And if he didn't win the championship his first year, people will be like, get rid of this guy, man. Mm-hmm. What are they doing? But yeah, it sounds like Pitt has, all the intentions of keeping Coach Capel around. And Coach Capel even said that, hey, listen, like Coach K down at Duke didn't have the first a great first few years. Mm-hmm. These things take time. So good to get that perspective from you, no question. I do want to ask you, there's something you touched on briefly as we were talking about that last subject, the new transfer rule, where a guy that obviously can just kind of take off and leave without having that bridge year of sitting out. You guys didn't have that available, of course, and there was less transferring. I would imagine you like it because the players have the same flexibility as a coach does, because coaches can get up and leave after 1 year. But how much has it impacted college basketball?
I think it's had a huge impact. It's the gift and the curse. Like you said, I am pro the players being able to move because coaches can move. I think it's just that much more complicated for the coaches to be able to keep players because a lot of times players are just going to leave because they're not getting playing time. Why sit here and wait my turn the way that it's been for all these programs for so long? If you wasn't a one and done guy, you was pretty much trying to wait your turn, get in where you fit in until you're the upperclassman that's getting the bulk of the minutes. Now a guy isn't waiting for that. If he's not playing, he's going to consider getting out of here, and it's going to be hard to keep a nucleus at all. If that and then you just have graduate transfers even is a new thing, where a guy can graduate and then transfer and get another year. And that's having an impact. You look at Baylor last year, that their core was pretty much guys like that. So I think it's tough. I think if we're approaching, if coaches are approaching their job now, the way that they were even 10 years ago, I just don't really see it working. You have to, adapt to the new times.
Yeah, just last night.
I wish I had an answer for them, but I wouldn't
Yeah.
even know where to start with how to even manage that. I think you just have to. Maybe it's a nice balance of all of it. Getting maybe that one graduate transfer, maybe that one solid young guy that's going to be a one and done,
Yeah.
then like a nucleus of guys.
I feel like we might get to the point where everybody is just transferring left and right. I didn't get X amount of playing time. I'm out. I didn't get, my girlfriend broke up with me at this school. I'm out. That's dangerous. It really is. But at the same time, it's important because they're adults to have that flexibility. I get that. All right, let's move on to some teams that are in the tournament. I'm going to ask you to talk about your bracket in a second, but I just even want to mention, I was watching last night, Indiana, Xavier Johnson, a former Pitt point guard out there putting on a show. They're moving on. It almost breaks my heart a little bit to watch some of these guys still crushing it for other schools, but of course, happy for them. Have you filled out a bracket yet, Julius?
I have. And filling out my bracket is just, I might as well throw darts in the dark because I genuinely feel anything can happen.
Yeah.
I pretty much have a favorite to win it all. And other than that, I think it's a hit or a miss.
All right. Can I guess the favorite?
I think you will be real. I think if I gave you 3 shots, you would pick them.
All right. I feel like I can't go with the Vegas favorite then because I feel like that would be too easy. So I'm going to eliminate Gonzaga.
Oh, that's you already. That's what
it's Gonzaga. Okay.
And it's not because they're the Vegas favorite. Yeah,
they
yeah.
kind
It's
of have
not
a
because
Pitt vibe, I guess. Guys who've stuck around for a long time, and it's almost like they're due.
They are due. Last year, I thought they would do exactly what they did, and they ran into a team that I believe was better than them.
Yeah.
So that's just basketball. Okay. that was a bad matchup for them. This year, I don't really see a team that can just dominate them in that fashion. I really feel like they are the better team out here. So I'm gonna ride with them this year, and I'm gonna bet on them.
You watch a lot of ACC ball, obviously, because of Pitt. What team in the ACC can make noise? Obviously, you got Duke as a 2 seed. North Carolina is an 8 seed. They're still really good, and obviously a team like Miami maybe can make some noise.
Yeah, well, you said Miami. Miami is probably my dark horse. What's so unfortunate about what I'm about to say is that, because I'm spoiled to Duke making it far, I don't feel like they're going to make it as far as they typically do, which means if Duke don't go to the Final Four, I'm going to look at it like they didn't do anything in this tournament. And I feel the same way about North Carolina. But Miami could go to a Sweet 16. I feel like y'all had a great tournament. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like biased towards them in a way that they have to exceed, my expectations in regards to, it's North Carolina. Just going to the Elite Eight is just not the same for them as it is any of these most of these teams in this tournament.
Hey, man, and those are the expectations you guys created at Pitt. Seriously, in the early 2000s, where it became Sweet 16 just isn't enough. Hopefully, we get back to another point, and I'm sure we will at some time where that is the case. All right, Julius said it. Just like everybody else in America, the bracket's going to be ripped up in about 2 days here, lit on fire and thrown in the trash can. Man, I haven't had a good bracket since 2009, but it's always like my cousin's girlfriend or something like that will win our big bracket pool, and that's just how it goes these days.
Yeah, I'm usually a dummy for picking Kansas all the time, and every time I pick Kansas, they don't win. When I don't pick Kansas for some reason, or I don't have them go on fire, they seem to always be there. So that's one team I'm just not dealing with, and I get it now because people used to tell me that about us. Like, I can't stand y'all. Y'all, every time I bet on y'all end up losing the game and stuff. And I'll be like, but we're your team. Why would you ever bet against us? So, but I get it. Dealing with Kansas in the relationship I have with them, I 100% get it now.
That's funny. There's a lot of people that have teams like that on their won't touch list. I'm staying away from them. And that because they've wronged you in the past sometimes.
Absolutely.
In your bracket. So, hey, man, it's been a pleasure. We love incorporating this just into Pittsburgh sports in its entirety because you're a Pittsburgh guy. It's obviously March Madness is about to be in full swing along with the Penguins still going on. The Pirates about to start up. And, man, the Steelers are 24/7 all day, every day. So good to talk some Pitt hoops with you, man.
Mike, it was a pleasure.
This is it right here. Crazy. So yins are crazy. I know yins are crazy, but so am I. #1 sports site in the burg, let me show you why. The